Tropical Storm Nalgae maintaining strength over western Luzon. So this storm has traversed through the southern part of Luzon and is still a strong tropical storm. It did peak earlier as a minimal typhoon, of course, during the daylight hours, currently at 14.5 north, 120.8 degrees east, which is very close to Metro Manila. As of 9 p.m. Philippine time, it has 70 mile per hour winds, that's 110 kilometers per hour, and a pressure of 983 millibars, moving northwest at 8 miles per hour, that's 12 kilometers per hour, 305 degrees on the compass. We still have Signal 3 warnings in effect for the western regions that were affected by the storm's path, and still one or two areas that are still ahead of it. And here it is displayed on the map with its wind field. A fairly sizable wind field extending out 150 nautical miles in the northeastern quadrant. And taking a look at the storm's current positions, it is 21 kilometers from Manila, 35 from Balanga, 67 from Olongapo, 128 from Iba, and 212 from Baguio. Most of those areas, well, the three in the middle there, will be directly affected by the storm, still ahead of the storm, and so we need to watch out for those areas right now. Of course, it's not just the wind that will be impacting these regions. It is expected to produce very high amounts of rain, and of course we've already seen substantial amounts so far, with at least 45 confirmed dead. Flash flooding is still the main concern, with heavy rains continuing to impact Luzon primarily. Storm totals of up to 500 millimeters are possible. Rain rates are expected to be high enough to cause severe flash flooding and landslides, and this has already occurred in some areas. As mentioned, 45 dead and 14 or 17 missing at this time. And those numbers will probably rise. That was mainly in Mindanao earlier on during this storm. So let's check what the forecast is over the next few days. The wind field to rapidly expand as it moves out over the South China Sea. Then it will start to weaken as it continues almost towards China, and eventually does end up there at the Lisu Peninsula, just north of Hainan. And it weakens very quickly and dies off as it moves into the Gulf of Tonkin. That is still a very low confidence forecast, as there is still a lot of uncertainty about where exactly the track of the storm will take it. JWC has it not far from Hong Kong, dying off as a tropical depression there. And currently the wind speed estimates there, this was just a little bit earlier on, it still shows force 13 going at 75 miles per hour. We've just dropped it to 70. According to our analyst team. Pegasa on the low end at 60 miles per hour, JMA on the higher end at 70 miles per hour, which is what we're running with right now. Here is the signal warning map showing that Signal 3 warnings are still in effect for some localities, particularly in southwestern Luzon. Manila still there as well under Signal 3 warnings. That's for strong tropical storm conditions up to minimal typhoon category 1 conditions. GFS has its really consolidating once again and becoming a category 2 out over the South China Sea before weakening quite a bit. Takes its time to die off completely, and it's just off the coast of the Guangdong province there as a tropical storm, and just dies off as it makes landfall. So shouldn't be any major impacts there for China, but it does intensify quite a bit before it gets there, and gets a bit close for comfort there as a category 1 typhoon before it really starts to weaken. Let's take a look at the simulated reflectivity, and this shows the kind of rain rates that you'd be expecting over the next few days. And for the Philippines, it's mainly going to be over after the next 12 or 24 hours. But take a look towards the coast of China and Taiwan particularly, getting quite a bit of action there in the next 7 days after the storm blows through. Some of it to do directly with Nalgae, with that band pushing through there. But there's some residual rainfall that continues, producing very high amounts of rain totals in that area. And we'll be able to see that properly here in the rain chart, showing the expected rainfall over the next 7 days. There are still some areas that are expecting quite a bit more rainfall in the Philippines, but generally those numbers are starting to decrease now. So in the next 7 days, some of those areas we're expecting another 10 inches of rain. That's 250 millimeters round about the Manila Bay area particularly, and over some of the mountains of northern Luzon. You can see some maximums there up to around 11 inches over Mindoro as well, so that's getting towards 300 millimeters. And in large parts elsewhere in the Philippines, we're looking at quite a few areas that will get maybe 3 inches, which is getting towards 100 millimeters. Looking at the sea surface temperatures, they're still remaining fairly good. These are in Fahrenheit, so I'll do the conversions live here. Around 28 degrees Celsius on the western coast of Luzon, and it will start dropping as the storm gets further north. As it reaches the same latitude as the northern tip of Luzon, conditions will really turn against the storm, and temperatures will also drop as well down to around 26 or 25 degrees Celsius eventually, as it continues to push on towards China. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery, and you can see on this rapid scan, or at least we can attempt to distinguish where the center of the storm is. Beady eyes amongst you might be able to make out the rotation center, and we expect that it is somewhere over the Bay of Manila right now. As mentioned, only around 21 kilometers to the southwest of the center of Manila, and that motion will will continue towards the west-northwest through Bataan, and then out over the open or more open waters of the South China Sea. You can still see quite a bit of convection occurring round and about the center, but most of the heaviest stuff is actually over the water now. But still in Mindoro and over parts of southern Luzon, we could be seeing a lot more rainfall occurring, and as mentioned, could still be another 10 inches on top of what we've already seen so far, which is why we're particularly concerned about flooding issues. Let's take a look at a different shot, and this is a view here as we just saw the last daylight images and then the evening images there, a little bit elongated from west to east in terms of the higher cloud tops, but the center I think is still pretty well intact, continuing to move towards the west-northwest. Here this graphic shows you the cloud top temperatures. The yellow zones, those are minus 80 degree cloud tops, and generally mean roughly around 40 millimeters per hour of rain underneath that, but not many areas getting that anymore, thankfully. Certainly the cloud tops have decayed quite a bit in general compared to what we were looking at yesterday. And here it is again on the other infrared channel, showing a few of those black areas there. So we're still seeing very substantial rain amounts over parts of southern Luzon, including over Metro Manila. And there's a wide shot showing the whole storm in its appearance there. I think it's actually gotten a little bit smaller in the last couple of days when you look at the cloud appearance, but that's the latest on Nalgae right now, and we'll have more updates as it progresses.